Hi, I'm Jamie Schmidt, and today I'm going to show you how to repair large holes in drywall just like this one. Just wish I knew how it got here.
I got it! Harder, the top! There! Keep going, harder, top, more, up, yeah, there. There we go, that's good.
Okay, there's two different ways that we can patch this hole. The first one being we can go out and get a wall patch, and these are great in certain applications, and I'll go ahead and tell you which ones to look out for in a minute. But let's open this up and I'll show you what you're going to get in the package. It essentially is a metal plate, drywall mesh, and a self-adhesive back. They're really simple and easy to use. You just peel off the adhesive back and then stick it over your hole. Make sure that the metal part is over the hole completely. Then you would use some drywall mud and sand it, paint it, and you're good to go. But I would not use it in this application. The reason being is I would not use it in anything that's basically below head height, or even a little bit above it, like somewhere around here. And this is a very good example on why. If you ever think you're going to put a screw or nail into the wall where you're putting this patch, don't use this. There is absolutely no structural value to this patch. It's just basically beautifying the hole in the wall. You want to use the patch job that I'm going to show you how to do with replacing the drywall in kind. If you were to put a nail into this, you would just basically buckle that metal. It would just crumple up and all the mud would fall off the wall. And if you try to put a screw into this and then try to hang something from it, it would just rip right off. So do not use these in any place that you think you're going to use a nail or a screw. So that being said, we're going to use drywall. The first step in that is to actually cut out the patch first. And I know that seems kind of backwards because you got your hole here. You think you'd want to cut it out and then cut a patch for it, but I'll show you why it's much easier to cut the patch first. And what you want to do is make sure that it's a little bit bigger than your hole. So I would probably say 5.5 by 5.5 would be a good patch for this hole. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that, and I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I have my 5.5 by 5.5 wall patch. So you can kind of see that I made sure that I've covered it, overlapped it in both directions. Let's take that off. Don't need that. So I'm going to make sure that I center this over my hole. And since I'm cutting this to this piece, I'm going to mark which is my top. And then just go around. So I know that this is my top. I put a line here and a line here. So if I rotate this, it'll get a little bit screwed up and you'll see why. So I know that when I put this back in the hole that I'm going to want this going up. And there is where I'm going to cut. Now for this stage you have a couple of different options on cutting tools and techniques and methods. Because I have the fiberglass in there, I'm actually going to use my multi-tool, which has a drywall cutting head. It's a little loud, it's a little noisy, but it gets the job done pretty quick. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. But one tip I would give you in this circumstance, when you're cutting it out, no matter what tool that you're using, if you could just kind of angle your cutter head or whatever you're going to use slightly inward towards the wall cavity, but cutting on that line, it'll save you a lot of work later on as far as trying to clean out that hole. So instead of going straight on like this, I would just give it a little bit of an angle. I don't know if you can see that in here. So if I was going here, I would just give it a little bit of angle down to make sure that I get away anything that would be in the way of my patch sliding into the hole. So that's the only real tip I can give you at this point, but let's go ahead and cut this out. Alright, so let's go ahead and clean it out. There you go. And now we can go ahead and put our bracing in, which will hold our drywall patch. Okay, the hole is cleaned out, and you're going to see that I'm actually going to be switching to wearing gloves now because I'll be messing around near that fiberglass. Nasty stuff. So I'm not going to be wearing a respirator, but I will wear my glasses because you won't be able to hear me if I did. So I'm going to put these on. So you want some sort of backing for your patch, something that really will hold it tight against this wall, make it look like it's one piece. The reason that you need to have these pieces in there is that your wall could be curved a little bit, and if you don't secure it in as many places as you can, that'll bump out. You'll have to do some more mud and build it up, and you're going to see that hump in the wall. So in order to keep it as flat as possible with everything else, we want to put some bracing behind here to screw into both the wall and the piece, your patch piece, to keep it as flush as possible with that wall. So in order to do that, I've got this piece here. You want to have probably at least an inch into your good wall and an inch into your patch, at least. The reason being is if you drill too close to the edge of this, it'll just blow out. It'll just crack and splinter, and it won't be a good hold. So I've got this piece here. I'm going to go get my pencil here, and I'm going to want to go probably about, just to make sure that there's no stud there, no stud in there. So at least go an inch or two on either side, and then go ahead and give this a cut here. And then that'll be my top one, and then I'll just cut another piece exactly like this for the lower part. And I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. So I went and cut my pieces, so they're ready to go. So they'll go inside the wall. You can look at it like that. So there'll be a good size portion above the wall, in the good part of the wall, and a good size portion in our patch part. And it'll overlap very nicely. Oh, one thing, do not skimp on this. Go buy yourself a drywall bit for your drill. They're really inexpensive, and they're going to save you a lot of grief as far as knowing whether you put the drywall screw in at the right depth or not. If you put it in too deep, you break the paper. It's going to give you a mushrooming effect, which is going to screw up. You're going to see little bumps in there. If you get this one little bit, they're not that expensive, only a couple bucks. You'll save yourself a lot of grief. So do that. So let's go ahead and get started and put these patches in. So I got some drywall screws, coarse thread. They're not from the larger the thread. These are for wood construction. The thinner ones are for metal. So I'm going to go ahead and put my screw on there. And another thing you could do is just go ahead and start the screws before, because working with this with just one person might be a little bit too much. So the handle. So you can start your screws in the wall to give yourself a little bit of assistance. See what I'm doing here, and get them ready. You don't need to put all these in. I'm just doing it now for the heck of it. And I've already made my marks. I'll make them a little clearer for you here, of where I measured my overlap to go behind. And I'll even do one down the middle, so I kind of know where my middle mark is, so I know how much is sticking out the bottom and how much is above. So I know that there's equal portions on both sides. So I kind of have this little grid pattern. So this is my left side, this is my right, and the center line I'm going to match up with this, so I know this much is above and into the good drywall. So let's go ahead and tuck this back here, and then match up my lines like that. Hold it from the back, keep it in there, and when it does that little popping noise, you know that it's at perfect level for drywall. So let's go ahead and secure all of them that same way. Perfect. Let's do all of them. Perfect. That's it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look and see if our drywall patch fits in there pretty well. And again, remember we made the mark, so this is my top. So fingers crossed, fits in there perfectly. That is why I cut it first and did the tracing. It's much easier to cut this piece first, trace it, and then have it pop in, than to try to take this piece and try to fit it into some really weird shaped hole. So cut this piece first, and then put it in the hole. We're almost there. One thing I forgot to show you, and I just thought about this. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Since you don't know where this ends, the screw is a good representation of where it is, but you don't know how far down this is, because you want to put screws into these pieces of wood. A good way of doing that is putting a little mark in the wall as to where that wood ends. So you want to make sure that you're going to put a screw in this area, everything from here up in this area, to properly secure it to the wall. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'd say 3 across the top should be good. Next step is I need to give this a light sand before I go ahead and put the drywall tape on. The reason I'm giving it a light sand is you'll notice that there's a couple of kind of rough edges of paper, like this stuff. You want to get rid of that stuff. Pull it towards the cut, not away, because then you'll start ripping way down here. You don't want to do that. So give it a light sand, get rid of all the rough stuff. All right, we're at the taping phase, and there's 2 different options of what you can use here. You can use paper tape, or you can use fiberglass mesh tape that hit the wall much more than harder than I thought. And I'm going to use the fiberglass mesh tape. And I'm going to use a very thin fiberglass mesh tape, because if you actually think about what you see as far as bad patch jobs, you're going to see one of 2 things. Either the drywall mud wasn't sanded really great and you see all these pot marks, or 2, you see this ginormous hump of where the patch was. So I try to keep everything as low profile as possible. So this is very thin mesh tape. It's really easy to apply. It's self-adhesive. You just basically put it overlap even on both sides the line of your patch. Take a drywall knife or razor blade, put it there, and give it a little quick rip. That's all you have to do. Now we're going to go around the whole patch, and then we'll go ahead and start applying some mud. All right, I'm giving you the close-up version of what we've done so far. So we've got the patch in there. Oh, you can see all the screws, and our drywall mesh tape adhered to the wall nice and tight. So let's take a look at it from the profile. And that is looking really nice and flat. And this is my drywall mud, and I've used it for a long time. I've actually had this for almost a year now, and it does get kind of crusty on the bag, so crusty parts. You don't want the hard parts in your drywall mud. So you kind of go down a little bit and find the soft stuff. And we'll go ahead and grab one of our longer knives, get some drywall mud on there. It's pretty good. This stuff stays really well. And then we're going to go ahead and work it into our patch. Just like that. And I'll get some more, and I'll go ahead and finish this up, and then I'll go ahead and start this back up again. It's really difficult to do with one hand. All right, so I'm finishing it off with a large knife. And this is the first of 2 coats. So you're going to want to do a really light coat the first time. Kind of get it as close to smooth as you can. That's pretty good. Don't worry about the couple of little potholes or the lines. You want to make it somewhat smooth. Like that. Oh, got a little bit of my drywall mesh, one little loose end there. Let's take that out. Let's go over that again. Look at that. And that's pretty much it. So you want to do 2 coats. The first one, a very light coat. Give it a light sand around there, knock down any of the high spots, and then do another coat, and then give it your final sand, and that should be it. So this has been a wall patch that's going to last for many years. You'll be able to do anything you want here, put a shelf or a picture or anything like that in here. So you really have done a quality job if you do it this way. So I'm Jamie Schmidt. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button below, and if you really like it, subscribe, and I'll go ahead and make sure to try to do some more how-to videos for you guys of whatever pops up in my life. All right, take care.
There we go, that's good. We gotta do hanger for